Your grandfather bought a house at 25. No trust fund, no rich parents, just a regular job and a few years of saving. And it was completely normal. Not lucky. Normal. You're doing everything right. You have a job, you're saving, you're being responsible. And somehow, a house feels further away every single year. That's not a coincidence. That's by design. In the next 8 minutes, I'm going to show you exactly what changed, who changed it, and why nobody in school, in the bank, or on the news ever explained this to you. Let's start with a number. In 1970, the average American home cost about 1.7 times the average annual salary. 1 year and 7 months of work, and you could buy a house. Today, that same ratio is over 5 times the annual salary. 5 years of your entire income, before taxes, just to match the price of a home. But here's what they don't tell you. Wages didn't just stop growing. They were structurally prevented from keeping up. And the mechanism they used, you interact with it every single day without realizing what it's actually doing to you. In 1971, something happened that changed the rules of money forever. President Nixon took the United States off the gold standard. Before that moment, every dollar in circulation was backed by a physical amount of gold. The government couldn't just create new money out of nothing. There was a limit. After 1971, no limit. The Federal Reserve could now expand the money supply whenever it wanted. And it did. Again and again and again. Now here's the part they removed from the textbooks. When new money gets created, it doesn't appear equally in everyone's pocket. It enters the economy through banks, through financial institutions, through asset markets. The people who already own assets, stocks, real estate, businesses, they see their values go up immediately. The people who own nothing but their paycheck, they just watch prices rise while their salary takes years to catch up. This is called the Cantillon effect, named after an economist from the 1700s who figured this out before central banks even existed. And it explains almost everything about why your grandfather's world and your world feel so completely different. Let's make this even more concrete. Between 2020 and 2022 alone, the Federal Reserve created more new dollars than in the entire previous history of the United States combined. Read that again. More money printed in 2 years than in 250 years before that. Where did that money go first? Into asset markets. The stock market hit record highs. Real estate prices jumped 40% in 2 years. If you already owned a home in 2020, you woke up 2 years later with hundreds of thousands of dollars in new wealth that you did nothing to earn. If you were saving up to buy your first home, you woke up 2 years later and found out that your target moved further away than you could run toward it. This is not bad luck. This is the mechanical result of a system that was designed, not accidentally, not through neglect, designed to transfer wealth upward every time there's a crisis. Your grandfather understood something that was never explained to you. He understood that money is not wealth. A house is wealth. Land is wealth. A business is wealth. Money is just the ticket you use to exchange for wealth, and the people who print the tickets have been quietly making your tickets worth less every single year. In 1970, a dollar held its value. Your grandfather could save in cash and not lose ground. Today, the official inflation target, the goal, what the Federal Reserve openly says it's trying to do, is 2% per year. 2% sounds small. Over 30 years, that's 45% of your purchasing power gone, just from holding cash, just from doing what every financial advisor told your parents to do. Save your money, put it in the bank, be responsible. The bank pays you 0.5% interest on your savings account. Inflation runs at 3, 4, 5% in real terms. Every year you save, you lose. The math is not complicated. The math is just never shown to you clearly. So why did your grandfather succeed where so many people today struggle? 3 reasons. And these 3 reasons are things you can actually use right now. First, he bought hard assets early. He didn't wait until he had a perfect down payment saved in cash. He understood that waiting in cash while prices rise is the same as running backwards. The asset appreciates, the cash depreciates. Time in the market beats timing the market, and time in real assets beats holding paper. Second, he had fixed-rate debt when inflation was rising. This sounds counterintuitive until you understand it. If you borrow $100,000 at a fixed interest rate and inflation doubles prices over 20 years, you are paying back that loan with money that is worth half as much as when you borrowed it. Your grandfather's mortgage got cheaper in real terms every single year he held it. Inflation worked for him because he owned the asset, not the currency. Third, and this is the one nobody talks about, he lived in an era before financial products were invented to extract value from people who had no assets, before adjustable rate mortgages, before credit card interest at 24%, before student loans that follow you for decades. The financial industry has spent 50 years building increasingly sophisticated systems to move money from people who work for it to people who own the systems that others work within. None of this is in your school curriculum. None of this is explained at the bank when you open a savings account. None of this appears on the financial news that's sponsored by the same institutions that benefit from you not knowing it. But here's what's important. Understanding the system doesn't make you a victim of it. It makes you someone who can work with the actual rules, not the rules they taught you. The people who are building wealth right now, in 2026, are not doing it by working harder. They're doing it by owning things that go up when money gets printed. Real assets, cash-flowing property, businesses, commodities, things that exist in the real world and can't be created with a keyboard. Your grandfather didn't know about monetary theory. He just lived in a world where the common sense thing to do, buy a home, own something real, happened to be the financially correct thing. Today, you have to be more deliberate about it, but the principle is identical. Own real things. Minimize cash holdings beyond your emergency fund. Understand that every year you wait is a year the system works against you, not because you're doing anything wrong, but because of how the machine is built. The gap between your grandfather's world and yours is not about work ethic. It's not about discipline. It's not about avocado toast. It's about a fundamental change in how money works, a change that was made by institutions, for institutions, and explained to nobody. Now you know, and knowing is exactly where it starts. If this opens something for you, there's a lot more where this came from, because this is just one piece of a much larger picture that most people never get to see.